never good at keeping those plants alive. Either it was a matter of overwatering them or maybe underwatering them, and they were always a pain, and they were expensive. The fastest growing area in plant sales right now is faux, fake plants. But when you're dealing with a company like National Tree, they make their faux plants so lifelike that you literally wouldn't think to look to see if they were real or not. By the way, I knew of National Tree a decade before they ever came to QVC as a vendor. Our outdoor set, which I happen to be on right now, every single faux plant that you see as a television network was purchased from National Tree. That's how they got their start. They weren't selling to average people like me and you. They were selling to television and movie companies to create looks that were very realistic, but they were easy to maintain. And that's exactly what we want as a homeowner as well. We started our season with 3,100 of these hanging plants. Oh, pardon me, I'm sorry, 4,100. There's fewer than 1,400 of them left. I don't know about you, but this summer I plan on going on vacation. Couldn't do it last year. I don't want to have to worry about watering plants when I'm gone. With this, you don't worry about anything. And by the way, they look fantastic indoors as well. Nick Antolik is our representative from National Tree. Nick, always good to see you. How you doing, my friend?
Dan, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me. I just spent the entire day out in the yard doing so much yard work and cleanup. I absolutely love this from National Tree because when I come back on the back deck, when I'm entertaining, this is a tree that I love to present to my friends and family because it's always looking this great. So when you think of a National Tree, you think of the highest quality artificial plants from the cedars that you know and love, years and years, 50 years, 3 generations. These guys have been perfecting it, and finally they did it in a hanging basket. And when you think about a hanging basket, this is what we want artificial for. No rain is hitting this because it's underneath an overhang. This beautiful fern, 360 degrees around, looks perfect, but I don't have to worry about caring for it. It's always going to look this good.
Yeah, you know what, in most hanging plants, there's a window of opportunity. They look fantastic for 2 weeks, and then they either become overgrown, too big, they start dropping dead leaves or you know, flower petals. With this, it just looks good. And by the way, the materials that are used are top of the line. They use a cocoa mat hanging basket to begin with. But then look at all the different shades of green that they have put into this fern so that it looks very lifelike. So it looks like new growth, spring growth on the outer edges. I love how it just spills over the top. But there's no worry of this. There's no maintenance at all.
Dan, that's it. And I'm so glad you're showing it there. That's a little bit more how you're going to get it out of the box at home. When you get this home, because it ships like this is actually a variety of fern where it has these little climbing vines on there. So you can see how I'm going to pull that away a little bit. See that little hook on the end there? Those guys tend to get tangled up. But this is almost like a snowflake where now those climbing vines, I'm actually going to be able to put that right up on the chain there to give it that look. So you're going to separate these, put them into the exact position you want, whether it's a little more front-facing, 360 degrees around, or I'm going to drop this back here and put it here. Now I can move these around just a little bit, like you can see, remove those too. But look at the way that you get that movement. Look at the way the sun comes through there. And like you mentioned, you have both the darker as well as the light green that's giving that new growth. So once you set this, it'll take a couple minutes, it's going to have this beautiful look. But I don't have to worry about watering it. I don't have to worry about trimming it. I don't have to worry about whether it's getting too big and I have to cut it back. This is always going to look perfect year-round. So whether it's outside, underneath this overhang like I have here, or inside the house, leave it to National Tree to really give you that beautiful look and life of a true plant in faux.
It's crazy. In my office at home, I have a tree, and it happens to be from National Tree that I purchased, oh, good gosh, almost 20 years ago, I believe. And it makes that space less stark. Hanging baskets work perfectly as well, like that, right in front of a window. How grand is that? What a wonderful gift for someone as well. But it's a gift that requires zero maintenance. We offer what we call a build to, ship to. That means we ship it, they have no idea how inexpensive it is, the bill comes to you, the item goes to them. They look wonderful in daylight and bright sunlight, but they do not fade. And in the world of faux, national tree is really the king. They really are at the top of the food chain in what they create. I love that you get this out of the box, you do a little bit of floofing with it, and Nick, 5 minutes later, the project is just done.
It's like a snowflake. Each and every one's going to look a little bit different, like you see it there. That's how it's going to come out of the box. You're going to be able to detangle those. At the ends of the tips, they made this so lifelike, like a climbing fern, but look how substantial this is. From top to bottom, that's over 3 feet with the hang there. So that's really impressive. Now, just from here, you're going to get over 2 feet of that hang. And the beautiful thing, again, it all comes down to the national tree story. 50 years, 3 generations. This family has perfected this art of making these trees look so lifelike. That's why they use them on QVC sets. That's why they make them on movie sets. I can have this almost climbing vine fern look that looks so real, not only on the top side, but even on the bottom. That's a steel construction. You can see that cocoa liner. They have the peat moss on top. So when your friends and family are sitting out on your back patio this season, they're going to say, wow, what a beautiful looking fern, not, hey, is that real? And that's a national tree difference.
Yeah, the thought doesn't even cross your mind when you see these because they look so good. People are picking them up in sets of 2, so I'm assuming that you're doing what some of the photographs that Nick showed us are pointing out. You kind of use them as bookends, maybe having one on either side of a door, being able to put them on one or either side of a deck or a patio. If you live in an apartment and you don't want the worry of houseplants that you have to maintain, then get them. Hang them up. It's also something that you can put where direct sunlight doesn't ever hit, which would be a problematic thing for a real fern because ferns need bright sunlight. These need nothing at all. Look how good that looks up against a stone or hanging just off the corner of an eave. If that doesn't look realistic, I don't know what to tell you. I do like the idea of hanging them inside as well, Nick, because it just gives that fresh look of nature that we sometimes just don't include inside our homes.
100%, Dan, and especially if you put them in more outside than in. But when if you're walking past in the room, you see this movement and you just think life. And it's so wonderful. What's such a wonderful way. Maybe it's that dark corner or downstairs in the basement or in a bathroom, where you're not going to be able to grow a live plant. You're able to put this in here. But look at this right here. When I push it up, you see the way that the light shines through that. And this just gets the movement with the wind, and it just really, really sets that tone of, hey, 365 degrees around, 365 days a year, I have this beautiful plant out there. It's UV stabilized, so you don't have to worry about the fading. So these beautiful colors are going to stay. But remember, when you get it at home, it comes in a box like this, right? So you're going to have to take these little ends. You can see they just grabbed each other again. You're going to take a little bit of time to detach these out. You're going to make them able to separate, put them on one side or the other, or if you want it 365 degrees around like I have it here. But either way, this is going to be that beautiful look.
Yeah, you floof them. That's actually the term.
That's right. I like that. Floofing. There you go.
We started with 4,100. We now have less than 1,400 remaining in our inventory. And this is my last Great Outdoors with Dan show for the entire year. So I wouldn't wait on these at all. Now, here's another consideration on that $36 price tag. What do you pay for living hanging plants, or how much do you normally spend just for the basket and then add the plant and the work to create it and then the ongoing maintenance to make sure that you're maintaining it? With
Dan,
this,
I'm glad you said that
done.
because for me, I have to buy like 3 or 4 of these because I bought a hanging basket, and then what happened? You go away on a long Memorial Day weekend, nobody's watering it, or it's underneath that overhang, nobody's watering it, and these shrivel up, and maybe only half of it's wrong, but you're spending more and more money on these hanging plants. So when you think about faux plants, the more difficult ones to maintain, typically we'll show you a topiary or something like this. The fern is something, the hanging basket is something
everywhere.
That takes a lot of care because you're putting it underneath an overhang, so it's not getting the right sun, it's not getting the watering, and that's a lot of work for us. So when it comes to an artificial tree, why not go with one from a company that you know and love like National Tree, one that looks so real and something that's going to be simple and easy. So when I'm sitting out here on my back deck, I'm worried about enjoying the time and not worry about these plants.
With the 5 easy pay payments, again, those are interest-free payments. It's $7.20 I've had hanging plants that didn't live for 5 months.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm with you.
Yeah. So I love the idea. Now, listen, I've got a lot of flowering plants, and we do a lot of container planting. But it's still nice to have a few of those pieces, especially those that are off the ground that require no maintenance. Every time I would water a hanging basket, you water your armpit instead of the plant. With this, there's no fuss, no muss to it at all. Nick, it's so good to see you. Listen, enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day weekend, the unofficial start of summer. Thanks for being a part of the show.
Thanks, Dan.
I think we've had great stuff in the show today. We really have. And we've got more coming your way as well. Here's a good example.